All right, the recording has started. Good afternoon, everyone here in the US on the East Coast. Good morning to all of you on the East Coast of Australia. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you might be, or if you're watching the recording after the fact. Welcome to one of our very special presentation sessions for the Viz for Social Good projects that we run through our Viz for Social Good site. Today we are doing our project for Tap Elderly Women's Wisdom for Youth presentations. So we've got 5 fantastic presentations for you today, selected by our client. And we've got 5 presenters here who will walk you through their presentations today, show you what they came up with. You can see, if you haven't seen them before, what the projects look like, what the process is like, what people do. And I hope that everyone here considers joining a project as a volunteer in the future. And if you know of a charity or a nonprofit who could use our services, we are always looking for more clients and more projects and more things for us to work on. Because we are a collection of data visualization professionals. We group the folks together, and we use their talents to help take the data from the charities or the nonprofit and help visualize that data, help find the stories hidden in that data, help analyze and dissect that data. And it's all volunteer organization. And so we are always looking for more volunteers and more folks joining in, and always looking for more projects to work on. So please, join us in future sessions and go to our website and see what's going on and keep in touch with us. Today's session is being recorded. In fact, it's already hit record because I hit record. And so again, there'll be a photo moment at the end. But again, if any of you want to pop up and turn your cameras on and ask questions or interact with us during the session, we look forward to that. Again, if you can hang around at the end, I'd love to get a group photo of everybody on the screen, hopefully smiling and having a good time, so we can preserve that for each of our sessions. Frederick likes to do a mention of this at most of our sessions and meetings. So let me turn it over to Fred for an acknowledgement of the country.
Sure. Yeah, as I'm connecting to Australia, same with Joe, and there might be a few other Australians. We always love to acknowledge our traditional owners, and pay respect to our past, present, and extend to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people that might be here today, and pay our respect to elders all over the world. So I think that's always good to acknowledge our elders. Thank you very much.
Oh, always good to acknowledge your elders. Yes, very, very good, Fred. So again, I'm going to do a quick opening, which I'm already halfway through. I will turn it over to Nima to talk a little bit about the charity, and I've got some slides that I can flip through for her, or I can bounce out to the website if she wants me to. But just give us a quick introduction to the charity that we're working for this project. Then we will have the 5 volunteers present. Again, I think the volunteers are fine with them having 5 minutes or so to present their submission. And then if anyone wants to pop in and ask them a question, how did you do this? Or why did you do it this way? Or I saw something else you didn't mention, because they can't show you everything in that short of time. We've got some time for you to ask some questions. Then they will give some feedback, and we'll choose usually choose our top or the top 3, or in this case, we've already got the top 5. But if she wants to give us feedback on any of the placement, we always love to do that. And then we've got some project wrap up and things at the end. So again, just a little bit further, this is kind of the order. Random order, I imagine, with Nicole Klassen going first, Sophie Miller second, Komal Malani third, Joe fourth, and Priya rounding us out as our 5th presentation. So again, we work with lots of charities and we bring in as many professionals as we can. They give us their data, which is so kind of them to do, some actual data. And folks get to prep that data and bring it into their favorite tool. You don't have to use Tableau, although most of our data viz professionals use Tableau. That's a subject for another day, but you can use any tool you want. I think all 5 are using Tableau today. I think all 5 are using Tableau. But again, they don't have to do that. But it tends to be the tool of choice these days. Bring in their data and see what stories and analysis they can find from that. And so it's a real fun partnership that we have. So this project, this go round, is with Tap Elderly Women's Wisdom for the youth. And we have several folks from the organization here today. So like I said, I've got some screenshots from the website of the folks involved in the organization, their board of directors, all the folks that are involved, and just so many great counselors. And it's just such a great charity. I really love learning about these charities as we go through these. So Nay, did you want to tell us a little bit about your organization before we see what folks were able to do with your data?
Absolutely. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. Thank you so much, first of all, for participating in this project. It means a great deal to our whole team. We have an amazing team of elderly women counselors who have been implementing the interventions in local communities. Our organization, which was founded in 2016, provides mental health services, free mental health services, accessible. We try to make them as accessible as possible in public institutions, public health institutions, or local government authorities where a lot of the members of a community can access easily. Our model was inspired by the Friendship Bench in Zimbabwe. They use grandmothers for their mental health interventions, and they would provide counseling, one-on-one counseling. So we combined some of that, took some of that inspiration and adapted WHO's model of mental health gap action program. And that's the basis of our program, the mental health gap action program, where we provide psychosocial interventions, group talk therapy. We do, of course, the survey research, and we do referrals to communities, to social services, and to other community services that the individual coming to see one of our counselors, who are called wisdom and wellness counselors, would require for their case. We are really looking forward to the analysis that you have done with this last project that we did in local communities. And we hope to use this analysis to generate more support for our projects in the future. So we're super excited to be here and to just see all your amazing work.
And I believe there are a number of folks from your organization here. I think I've seen a few of them online. I think I saw Rustika here at one point.
Yes, I did see her in the meeting. She might be experiencing some connection issues, but she is now.
And I'm pretty sure I saw Morris is online with us today. Thank you, Morris. I think Almasi was online maybe. And what's going on here? Why is my machine giving me grief? There we go. And I think Nasra is online down there as well.
Yeah.
Several of you board members are here. And again, you've got a lot of counselors and a lot of great folks and just a really wonderful organization. And I'm really happy and pleased to be partnering with you on this project this month.
The pleasure is all ours.
All right, well, let's go ahead and let's see Sorry, I'm having a little bit of technical difficulty here. We're going to go through the 5 presentations now. And so again, up first is Nicole Klassen. Nicole has been a frequent presenter at our sessions and has been taking part in several of our projects. Here is again one of our photo sessions that we had with one of our previous projects with Sunny Street. Nicole was a featured tableau author back in January, I believe. She was the Atlanta Iron Viz champion. She took 3rd with her partner Rana in the women international analytics competition, and she has also been a Viz of the Day. So Nicole has been very busy and is a frequent participant with us, and we love to have Nicole with us. So Nicole, if you want to share your screen and show us what you came up for this project.
Yes, thank you. You found a lot more pictures than I even have coming through. So thank you for the intro.
As I say, when I'm like, oh, Nicole is going to go first, I'm like, oh, let me find some stuff for her, and it just kept going and going.
Yes. So first off, thank you for inviting me to speak. This was such a fun project. Both my degrees are in psychology. I just absolutely love mental health awareness and organizations who are helping, especially those who need it the most and who don't have access. So it's really just, I loved learning about your organization and what you all are doing. And it was really fun to dive into the data. With most of the projects that I do, when looking at what you all need, needing reports that you can also help get more fundraising, more donors, I always like to put things kind of in that context, because obviously, you guys are doing great work. So what are you guys working with, and why is it that you guys started this even? So I did a little bit of research looking into mental health in Tanzania, and specifically, and if I pronounce this wrong, please correct me, is it Dar es Salaam? Okay. So looking specifically in those areas and kind of what's going on mental health wise there. And so it was really interesting to see, and this was, a survey in 2003. So this is all pre-pandemic, and the pandemic has definitely made mental health issues worse worldwide. But knowing that, overall 3% of adults, when you look at some of the younger 4.7, and then anyone who's unemployed, 10% of those unemployed struggled with a mental health disorder, typically anxiety or depression. And then looking at the World Health Organization and showing just that, overall, there's 0.3 mental health workers per 100,000 people in Tanzania, just speaks to how much your organization is making an impact and how much these people need the support. So I thought that was really interesting. I'm not going to go through every slide because it'll take more than 5 minutes, especially if it refreshes. But I really enjoyed reading through kind of the information that you all had put together. And so again, just some context in terms of what is the cost of not treating mental health. And then also just looking at some of the barriers that people are facing in order to get mental health access, especially in your area. And then you connecting it to the sustainability goals and just how much of an impact this organization and you all can make by helping give access to the people who need it the most. So this is diving into y'all's data and everyone you've served over the 4 months. I thought it was great that it's actually slightly more male, because a lot of research has talked about how men typically have a harder time even admitting to mental health issues, and let alone going to get it. So I thought it was really great that it's almost 50-50, but slightly more male. And kind of the biggest age group is 30 to 49. And then just looking and showing that the people you're helping, in terms of when you look at stress and depression scores, typically the more stressed you are, the more you are suffering from symptoms of depression as well. And that is what you all are seeing as well, and why these services can help. Looking at both can help the other one. So I wanted to do first a breakdown in terms of the depression scores. So for this one, you guys, whatever you need, you had a lot of great breakdowns in terms of where the people were that you were serving, who you were serving, their demographics. So I started with just kind of overall what were the respondents' scores. So most people, the average score, the highest average score was the respondents feeling down, depressed, or hopeless. But you can always break that down by the areas, the gender, or the age group, so that, if you have certain people that you're talking to, you can take a screenshot of that particular area and see just who it is that you're helping. And then for each one of the questions, you can click on a bar to see exactly how they responded, because it's on a scale of 1 to 4. So overall, most people are saying that they don't feel things, some of these symptoms as much, but you still have, feeling down, depressed, or hopeless. 185 said they're feeling this nearly every day. And that's definitely something that is not to be like, that's something really important to help. In terms of the PHQ-9, like once they fill it out, it's scored and kind of put into these different buckets of the severity of depression symptoms that the respondent is feeling. And so, most are falling again in this minimal depression, but over half are showing some level of depressive symptoms when they're coming to see you, which is sad, but it's also great that they have this resource that they can come to instead of trying to deal with it just on their own. Maybe. And so then this is again another one that, depending on who it is that you're speaking to and what information you need, you can break it down by the municipality, the ward, to see exactly what it is for your needs and for their needs. And then moving on to the stress scores. This one, again, having people respond to how stressed they were feeling. So the most common responses, they are feeling annoyed or irritated when they have to wait for something or in traffic jams, with the majority of the respondents saying that they do feel this a few times. So this one was on a 75-point scale, I think, with 3 options. So you can see the 3 options when you click on any one of these as well. This was just because it was a longer one. You do select the question here instead of having them all like in the PHQ-9. It just didn't fit. But you can select which question it is that you want to see. And then, you can see it by all respondents, or if you want to see the average by gender, age, or the municipality, to see how they are responding to each question as well on average. Again, majority are feeling low stress, but still a lot are feeling significant or high stress as well. And I just like looking at it instead of a bar, just looking at how many individual people y'all helped is just something that I found really interesting and impactful. And then I wanted to make sure that if anyone was looking at this, they could reach out to you all and see to help your organization, because you guys are doing great work and I hope to see it continue to grow. That's my presentation.
Really, really beautiful work, Nicole, as always. Really beautiful, insightful, and really nice analysis, and really good way to interact with it. Do you have any comments or questions, Nay, or anyone else after she gets first chance?
I don't have any comments or questions. I just wanted to say how much this was the first one that we saw and we absolutely fell in love with it. it was my understanding that a lot of some of the projects are not necessarily done in a presentation style. So this was great. We loved it.
This is the first one I did actually in a presentation style, but just with the kind of data that it seemed to fit better. I typically do ones like Priya's and Joe's that are beautiful as well.
Does anybody else have a question for Nicole? Anything you want to ask her about her design or tricks, techniques, anything? We'll have some time to have some discussion at the end if anybody does, but I always like to let folks.
I'm just wondering, want to ask if she actually had to use the table with raw data or the one with pivots, the pivoted table, because I presume the table with raw data was the one used because it has all these elements of number of people depressed, and the questions and answer is very clearly arranged. But on the pivoted table, they were very messed up. And I mean, I wanted to actually use Power BI, and Power BI will not even work with the raw data table. Of course, it will work with the pivoted table, but it wasn't giving me what I wanted. So I would appreciate if she could answer that, or if she had to restructure the raw data table into a pivoted table, something like that.
Yeah, so that is what I did. I restructured it. So I took the raw data and looked through it, and I found a few outliers, such as like it was scored a 33 out of 5 instead of 3 out of 5 or something. So what I did was I took that raw data, did some cleaning on it, and then I pivoted just the fields that I needed for my analysis instead of using the full pivoted version.
Yeah, that was a good job. I know it could take some time too. But that was a good job. I mean, having to restructure the raw data table all over again, instead of just going ahead to use the pivoted table. Yeah, good job. Very good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, and that brings something to mind. We have a Slack channel where folks can ask questions, and as they're going through the project, and so we encourage folks to sign up for the Slack channel so they can ask questions and things. And I've been thinking, as we've been doing these over the years, that it might be nice if we had one of our pros like Nicole who says, oh, I'm going to grab this data and I'm going to clean it up and prep it some. If maybe we might post that prep data, for some of the newbies, some of the beginners, because it's always fun to let everybody kind of do their own prep and see where they go. But for new folks who maybe don't have some of the skills that are some of our other volunteers have, I've been wondering if maybe that might be something we might look into as we progress along. It might be fun to let somebody kind of prep or clean the data some and make that available and say, hey, if you're a newbie, if you're struggling, grab this one rather than the raw data and see what you can do. That's something that I've been thinking about, that maybe at some point we might do that.
Kevin, the pivoted data should have gave you a good start anyway. So we
yeah,
never provide raw data because we assume that people don't have the data prep experience. So the pivoted data should have given you the same data, but in a more usable way, I guess.
Yeah.
I think Slack is probably the best. I didn't catch the name of Elijah, maybe. Next time, just reach out to us on Slack and we can give you a hand if you struggle. Slack is the best platform for that kind of stuff.
All right, next up we have Sophie Miller. And when I went out to Sophie's profile, this was the only one she had. So this is definitely the first one she's publicly posted. But she probably has not been doing as many of these as Nicole. So let me pass it over to Sophie and let's take a look at your project and tell us a little bit about it. And Fred has it on his site and I forgot to look, but I'm assuming this is the first Viz for So Good you've done. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. So thank you so much for inviting me to present today. This is my first project that I have contributed to Viz for Social Good. I do a lot of data visualization in my day job, but this is the first time that I've contributed. So thank you so much for the invite. I really love the organization. I love reading about it and learning about it, and it was a lot of fun to, look through your data and try and come up with something that was digestible. And I tried to keep in mind, who would potentially be looking at this when I was creating this. So my first priority was to, again, just give a basic overview of your organization based on what I saw on your website, and also highlight your wisdom and wellness team. And so I have a little map here, and when you click on the map, you can see the team at that specific location. So I thought that, it was just kind of a nice little feature, but on a local government level, if you're showing someone that they might be interested in seeing who they should specifically reach out to, and it's just a nice little interactive component. So following that, I have a little button that goes to a summary of the mental health assessments, both the depression severity, which is the PHQ-9, and the stress assessment. So over here, I did a little summary at the top, the number of clients that took this survey, and highlighting some things that really stood out to me, which was slightly more than half of the clients that responded ended up with mild to severe depression based on the survey. So I thought that that was important to highlight, and really drives home the fact that providing these types of services is so important, especially when there may not be the typical mental health professionals available in the region. And it really, it is driving the culture of, your elders in the community supporting the community that they're from. So I have it so that you could zero in on any of the different points of depression severity. And then on this side, I have the stress scale, and again, just summarizing how many clients took the stress assessment. I have a little typo there. But over here, I have it broken down by each question, and you can kind of see at a glance the areas where it's more common for people to experience stress than other areas. For example, these 2 points are the only time where very rare is less common than from time to time or a few times. So people have more perceived stress around certain areas, and I think just pointing to the specifics are kind of interesting here. And then for this, I drilled down into the specific questions that are on the PHQ-9 depression survey. So I have it so you could break down by gender or municipality. For the purpose of this presentation, I'll look at gender because it's a little bit more digestible here, but if you select a question, it will show the breakdown for that specific question. And it just makes it a little bit easier to digest based on the specifics of what you're asking. And certain questions here, while they're all on the same scale, are may have more difficult implications than others. For example, when you're looking at suicide risk and trying to decrease that, you might want to look at that question and see, a significant number of your respondents, 13.39 respondents have thought about it. So that's not insignificant. And that is pretty much it for my presentation. So thank you so much for inviting me.
Again, very nice presentation, very nice visualizations there. And again, from a first-time submitter. So there you go, folks. Don't be afraid to submit that first time. Everybody has to do it the first time. And I always love when we get one of our first timers to present so folks can see. And again, I just encourage everybody out there, whether you're here today or watching the recording later, join in and help us out. It's a fun process, fun project. Really encourage everyone to participate and help out. The more the merrier. I think we had at least 30 submissions this time, so that was pretty good. And quite diverse. I mean, there's a lot of diversity there. Any comment or questions out there, folks?
I gotta say, when I first saw the names on the first page of the counselors, I was like, oh, this is just perfect. And then when I saw that you could see which team goes to which municipality, I was like, brilliant. I loved it. It was really great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I missed that. I would have grabbed that and put it on the slide because I was looking for it on the website. I'm like, oh, it's in the viz. I should have looked. Very nice. Does anyone else have a question for Sophie about anything she did or the process or being a first timer? Anything? Anybody have any questions? All right, let me go back to my deck then.
You don't see a question.
We just wanted, hello?
Yes.
Hello. Can you hear us?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I'm also very excited to get this kind of visualization because at first, honestly, this is the first time I'm getting such kind of presentation. And from the work that we've done, I find that makes a lot of sense. And it's a great job. Thank you so much. I think the data is really being understood. The way you're doing it, we can understand it very well. Thank you so much. It's great presentations.
And I also wish to express my appreciation that this makes it much easier for us to understand the figures and facts that have been done, and the visualization for both presentations have been looked at different ways, but they reflect what anybody would want to hear or to see. Thank you very much for the good work.
Yes, definitely. Excellent job. And again, I love the diversity that we have in data visualization, and especially with our group here, from a psychology major to MBAs. We have a few folks that regularly submit that have art backgrounds, and you can see that. And so it's always fun to see the different ways that folks will go about it. So again, that's why we don't like to prep the data, if you will, and say, here's the direction to go into. It's good to give you the whole data set and let you take it and see what kind of story you want to tell with it. That's the power and the fun of this field that we have today, and just some really good tools to help us do that.
Hey, Kevin, sorry to interrupt. There was a question for Sophie in the chat from Dimitri. Dimitri wanted to know how long you were working on the project. So I suspect it's how many hours? How long did that take you, roughly?
Yeah, I don't have an exact number of hours, but I spread it out over the span of when you launch the project. I will work on it, a couple hours a day, a couple days a week over a few weeks. And then it really came together toward the end. So I spent probably 2 or 3 hours figuring out how to compile the story, but the actual visualizations, I have many sheets that I kind of was drafting over the past month. I guess I would probably say like 10 to 12 hours total.
That's great. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thanks.
And again, you've been doing data visualization for a number of years. This is just your first time doing it in one of our projects.
Yes, that's good.
Yeah. And why don't we jump back to Nicole if she's still there? Nicole, how many hours did you put into yours, roughly? I think that's a great question. I wish I would have thought to ask that as we went along, but we can catch back up here.
Yes, I'm so bad at guesstimating these, but probably 15 to 20 hours. And that's everything. That's doing some research into mental health in Tanzania, to looking at the data, creating the design file, and then visualizing it.
All right, very good. Well, thanks for the question, and thanks for catching that, Frederick. It's hard to see everything and follow everything when you're trying to move us along. So thank you for that, Dimitri. Great question. So next we have Komal, who, when I went out to the Tableau public site, I found 16 visits on the what's my words? I can't think of my words here, on their profile. 16 visits that they publicly put out there, of which this one was selected to be presented today. So Komal, let me stop sharing and let you share your screen and walk us through what you've done for us today. Really another beautiful work, another great job here with our third presentation.
So hi everyone. Before I start, I have to mention that this is my first ever visualization project and also a voluntary project. So I'm a little nervous to present, and how lucky I am to do it for such a great cause supported by TEWWY. And thank you so much, this for good social good and TEWWY team to give me this opportunity to present my story, visualization story. So when I was going through the work that TEWWY team is doing, so I was really impressed by two things mainly. One was the cause that they are working for, depression. It is still a taboo in our society in many of countries all along the world. So they are making the discussion of like the depression, talking about depression. They're trying to normalize it, which is very good. People are trying to approach them with their problems. This is one thing. And another good thing that they are doing is they are providing a lot of tools and services to those people to cope up with the depression, and that too free for the unprivileged communities. So I really appreciate the work that they are doing, and I felt very nice to have started my work with such a great cause. So this is how I started with my story. So the front part talks about what is TEWWY team and what exactly is the problem that they are tackling and how exactly are they doing it. So we see they are mainly focusing on their program is focused on WHO's mental health gap action program, and they train retired grandmothers to be wisdom and wellness coaches. So I was just wondering, why do they just train grandmothers? Why not grandfathers? So maybe it is that human tendency that in when you are depressed or stressful, you feel more comfortable talking to a motherly figure. Maybe that is the reason that they have chosen it, and it is working for them too. So Then we will go to the highlights. Sorry. So herein we are talking about all the clients' information across various wards that they are supporting, or they have surveyed in last few months. So out of 1397 unique clients, 57% of clients showed some or the other level of depressions, mild or severe depression. And herein also this data is taken from the stress analysis, and this one shows all the areas. Sorry, this one shows all the depression, right from no depression to severe depression. What is the percentage of patients which are divided among all? And this is distribution for male and female clients. There is not a major difference between one over another. Like you can say one gender are having more depressed people than another. And this part shows the ward-wise distribution of people having some or the other level of depression. So this one is with having some symptoms of depression, and this one is having no depression symptoms. So as part of their mental health assessment, they take two kind of surveys, and in the next slides we are going to analyze the survey results. The first one is PHQ-9 survey, having 9 questions, and they are weighted from 0 to 3. So the total score is from 0 to 27. So these are the questions. These are the 9 questions that were asked from people, and these are average scores for all those questions. So if we see individual questions, these are the percentage of people over there. I think it's similar to what Nicole already presented. So this one, out of if you go to every other question, you see the percentage of people that have responded for the depression. So most of the questions people have responded no, but there are quite a number of people who are feeling those symptoms every day, or most of the days, or some days. So it's still quite a good number to work on. So as per my understanding, below is the summary of a PHQ analysis. Most of the people have this feeling of, like, first 4 areas, most of the people have scored a little high, wherein they are feeling down and depressed, they are feeling tired and having no energy, they feel very bad about themselves, and they have hardly any interest and pleasure in doing things, which are great pointers of people who are actually feeling from depression. So next survey that is aligned with the depression is stress. So these are also the they have 15 questions being asked from people how much they are bothered by these issues, and the answer from very rare to almost every time. So these are the average scores, and we see the top score is they are very irritated and they have to wait on the traffic jams on the road. And if we click on these questions, they have the percentage of people who have responded on how frequently they feel such issue. Like 24% people feel it time to time, and 511 people, clients, feel it many times. And like already mentioned, the depression and stress definitely has a connection. They go hand in hand, and the data also shows same, that there is almost a direct connection between depression severity and the stress level. Now we go to the last one, which is overall summary as per my understanding of data. So out of 1397 unique clients, 57% have felt some level of depression, and this is the level of stress people have faced. Those 79 people have shown low stress, but still the other 25 to 30% people have shown medium to high level of stress. these are number of coaches per client ratio. There are around 13 coaches all across the municipalities. And these are the number of clients they have handled in the current data. And this is another aspect I could see. So when I figured out the number of clients that were interviewed or surveyed in those 4 periods, I see there is a direct increase in the number of clients that are being approaching and surveyed, apart from the September, October, because this is an exception because it was a 3 weeks month. So there is clearly indication that more people are being aware and they are approaching to get help. And there was one more question regarding if client wants to attend the interpersonal therapy. So many of the clients answered yes. So not only they are being aware, they are also ready to take help, which is also a very good sign, I feel. So, and this is overall summary that I could mention, that many clients have shown symptoms of depression and stress, and the number of clients are increased from last few months. They are being increasing every month. And TEWWY is already doing great amount about increasing the awareness and also providing the solutions to handle the problems. Going forward, TEWWY would definitely need a lot of assistance from the key stakeholders like government partners, funders, to make Tanzania the place where mental health and wellness is an integral part of their sustainable communities. And also they have an immediate goal of to provide these services to 10%, which is around 35,800 more clients by end of this year. So I would request people to support their cause and to learn more about what they do, how they do it. Please visit this. Thank you. That's it. And these are all the tabs to go back to wherever anybody wants to go.
Yeah, thank you so much. And if you hadn't told us it was the first time, we would not have known. Very good job. No problems whatsoever.
Yeah, if you're next to me, you would feel it. I'm little.
No, not at all. I've got to ask my new question now. Can you give us an estimate of how long you spent on the project?
So I do not have any estimate at all, because like I said, it's very new for me. So I started from around like when the project started, and every day I would spend few hours to think about how to make it and also to learn how to make it. As I said, it's very new to me. So I do not have exact time, actually, the estimate. But I'm very grateful for this opportunity. I had learned a lot.
All right, very good. Well, Nate, did you have a comment or anything for her? Question or?
Great, love it. And to answer your question from earlier, yes, the reason we are working with grandmothers is because of their nurturing nature. And also our founder is a retired elderly woman who saw the gap between the generations and wanted to close that gap. And also, just realizing that because you're older doesn't necessarily mean that you have nothing left to share. They may not be able to do the most physical, strenuous activities, but there's so much wisdom and love and compassion that we still receive from our mothers, our grandmothers, our aunts and of course the male figures as well. But yeah, we are working with grandmothers because of their nurturing nature. I loved your work.
Thanks.
Are there other questions from those attending? Does anybody else have a question?
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to add what Nay has just said, why women train women and not grandfathers. Yeah, it's very easy to approach an elder woman rather than a grandfather. Their nature, the natural nature of the grandmothers makes it very easy for people to approach them and also to be listened to. So, but doesn't mean actually our team is even composed of males. You've seen from the website. We've got also male. You know, this doesn't mean that we are excluding the men, but when it comes to, you know, providing this psychosocial counseling, we've thought maybe women are more better placed than men. But also the founders of the organization were, I'm a retired woman. So I was thinking about, when I retire, do I just go home and wait to die? Or can I continue serving my community? Because I know I still have got the strength to do that. So because it was started by two women, a young woman, a young lady, and an elder woman, I thought we could do something great for the community, Tanzanian community. But maybe later on, we'll also think about including males. Thank you.
Yeah, very good. So if you can stop sharing your screen, we can flip back to the presentation. But yes, while you were asking that question and I was thinking about it, in December, my mom passed away at 89, and she was grandma elder to many. And so she would have loved to have been involved in this type of organization. And I don't think it needs to be just in this one organization. I think we all might want to stop and think about the grandmas that are out there and the role that they could play. Because yeah, I was just thinking about my mom and thinking, yeah, my mom would have loved to have been involved in something here in the US as well. So thank you so much for that presentation. Next, we have Joe coming up. Joe is also a Tableau featured author just recently, right? This is the March group that was just announced recently, one of our Tableau public authors. She has also been a Viz of the Day awardee for her Airbnb Viz. And she, like Nicole, was also in one of our previous sessions where she had placed. So Joe is another one of our frequent folks that participates with us on the project, and she has a really lovely presentation for you. So I will stop sharing my screen so she can start sharing hers and walk you through her presentation today. Take it away, Joe.
Okay, thank you. Let me share my screen first.
Oh.
Okay, can you see my screen?
Yep, it's up. Looks good.
Okay, all good then. So for my case, I'm not sure if I can keep it under 5 minutes. And I already asked Frederick about it, and he already given okay for 10 minutes. So I'll try my best. Yeah. But yeah, if there's any further details that you need, you can just ask for me the question and answer. I'll try to keep it as short as possible. So for mine, I go for a more report-like approach. So it's more heavy on in-depth analysis, and the story revolves around the data. So it's really a data-driven story. And so I'm imagining it more like let's say a picture report, but at the same time, it's packed with data all around here. So first, it starts with a brief introduction, in case people don't know what you're actually doing. So just a bit of a summary here. And then also after that, first I start with the problem statement. I always like to start with the problem statement because this really highlights like why you actually need this service and how it's actually very valuable and also really meaningful. So the first one is what's currently going on is there's an increasing suicide rate. As we can see here in Tanzania, the death rate from suicide is actually increasing at a very rapid rate. We can see, especially starting from the year 2005 or around 2006, it has been rapidly increasing at a very fast rate, even when compared to the rate in Africa. And even right here in 2017, it already reached Africa's rate, and by 2019, it has even surpassed it. And if we look in about the worldwide rate, it's pretty high actually, but then the worldwide trend has actually been decreasing. So if this trend actually continued to persist and nothing else is actually been done to address mental health, so there may possibly happened that actually Tanzania's suicide death rate can actually even surpass the world death rate. And of course, we don't want that to happen. And this is, of course, very concerning. And that's why we really need to do something here. And then secondly, in terms of mental health, it's more common that than what most people actually think. There's actually nearly 1 in every 10 people. And regardless of how light or like how severe mental health is, it's always affecting people's life, and not only them, but also their loved ones. And it's something that cannot be belittled. And also, even if you look in a macro level, it has also contributed to the loss in productivity levels, which is something definitely to be looked into. And lastly, it's also in terms of the barriers to access mental health treatment. It's really hard to access especially in lower income countries. Because first, there's insufficient mental health practitioners. We can see that it's only around 0.06 or 0.01 psychologists, which is definitely not enough. And this means that people, for them to actually access treatment, they have to go to very far distances to be able to seek treatment. And this is definitely, of course, additional time, extra effort, which is very hard. And then also, secondly, it's also costly. And because right now we're talking about lower income countries, and the poverty rate is also really high. And in Tanzania, it's around 26.4% as of now. And while you're living under poverty, it's really hard to actually consider seeking mental health treatment if you still need like other expenditure that you need to pay for. And then lastly, of course, the stigma that still prevails, which makes people hesitant to seek professional help. So this is where you come in. This is a brief description of the program that you're doing. Just listing it here. So now we start with a bit of an overview. So there's a total of 1,397 respondents, and this is the total cost to run per quarter. And although yes, there's this cost to run, but then patients actually don't pay anything. So now we see that it's actually running in 5 municipalities. So we see that actually in here, in terms of the pattern, most of them actually don't have any depression, no, the majority. But as we go downward, so the top 3 is still the same. But as we go to Kinondoni, actually the majority now has become mild depression, as we can see here. And then also in Ilala, the majority is also mild depression. So now we're going to cover 2 aspects here, because in the survey, it actually includes the PHT, which covers the depression, and also the stress level assessment, which describes the stress level. So a bit of an overview here. So there's around 25.4%, which actually needs more immediate attention in terms of their depression level. And and on the other hand, in terms of stress, there's around 8.1% who actually needs more immediate attention because they experience high level of stress. So when it comes to the relationship between the depression and stress, we can see as it proceeds from people who don't have depression to severe depression, we see that it's increasing, as we can see in the darker teal color. And here we see that 69.2% of people who actually have severe depression actually also have high level of stress. So now we go with gender overview. So in terms of the gender, there's a higher number of male, which have been pointed out also by the other volunteers. And although the difference is actually only slightly higher, but this is really worth noting that Tanzania is actually still it is more of a patriarchal society, and often in patriarchal society, it's really hard for male to actually show any vulnerability and to actually seek help, especially surrounding mental health. But then, although it's actually slightly higher in number, but then we see that the proportion of people who actually have severe depression is actually higher amongst women. We see it's 2.88%, while in comparison, male is 1.39%. And this is the same, and this is same pattern we can see also in terms of the stress level. Female tends to have higher proportion who actually have higher degree of stress. We see it's 8.4%, while for male it's 7.7%. So this one is the breakdown of the depression groups per age groups. And when we're talking about depression, it lies under a spectrum. So we see here that although the youngest age range, which is from 0 to 17, don't really make up a very big number. It's around 21. It's actually 21 respondents. But then we see the majority here. It's actually 42.9% actually are having moderate depression. So this highlights the importance of early intervention, because if you can intervene as early as possible, you can make sure that they avoid them actually going to the right hand of the spectrum and ending up to moderately severe or severe depression. And furthermore, we see that as the age group actually progresses and become much older as we go downward, we see that on the right hand side, it's actually increasing. We see it's getting bigger. Although in 70 and above, it's not the dwindle, but we see that the overall pattern is actually bigger. So yeah, which again stresses the importance of intervening as early as possible, even from a very young age. So now this one is the stress level per age group. We see a very similar pattern as well, that the older the age group, the higher the level of stress. So again, another thing to consider. Okay, so this one are the questions that are asked to the respondents. And from these questions, based on how frequently they experience this problem, that they will be identified whether they have no depression or moderate depression or severe depression. So it makes sense that, of course, people who are identified as severe depression will have more likelihood of answering nearly every day to the problems. But then the question is, to which questions are they mostly answering to? So from here, we see that the top three one are actually people who responded saying that they feel down most of the time. Is 96.7% on a daily basis, which is so big. And then the second one is feeling bad about themselves, and also the third one is trouble with their sleep. And we see that the difference, even from people who are moderately severe and severe depression, it's so big, the proportion compared to that, which is really alarming. And then now we go down to people who have self-harm thoughts. For this one, even though maybe the proportion may not be as big as like the previous one, which is around 97%, but then we see that it's a very even distribution, which means that it's probably around 1/4 probability that people who are severely depressed actually thought about harming themselves, which is on a daily basis, which is something, of course, a really worrying thing. So after that, we see that that depression also interferes with one's capacity to carry out their daily lives. We see that among people who are severely depressed, there's nobody who actually answered that they don't have any difficulty or even minimal difficulty in carrying out their daily lives. It's the least is actually moderate difficulty. So it really highlights how depression actually is very disabling. It's really hard for people to actually carry out their daily lives, which affect their quality of life and also their loved ones. And also in a macro scale, then of course affecting their productivity levels, because it also affects how difficult it is for them to work. So now we go to the next one. So this one is the question whether they actually want to attend the therapy or not. So we see here that as people for more severe depression, a larger proportion of people are willing to actually attend the therapy, but not really in people who are not depressed. Well, we see also in the stress level, there's also an increasing proportion of people who answer that they are willing to attend across people who are high level of stress. But the difference is now it's only around 50.5%, which is like around 50-50 here. Well, in comparison, this one is 71.4%, which is the majority. So probably suggesting that people who are more depressed see that it's more probably they it affect their lives even more when compared to people who are undergoing high stress, and they see a more immediate need to seek help. But this also highlights that it's very important to actually promote mental health awareness, because when it comes to therapy, it's not we could say it's a more a long-term thing. It's something that you can't just go in with just one therapy and then all your problem will get fixed. So, which is why it's important for people to be aware that even if they have mild depression or moderate depression, they can already start to seek for therapy already. But then we see that there are some reasons why some of the respondents actually don't want to attend. And the majority of them usually answer it's because of the distance, because they don't have any time, or maybe the timing is not flexible because they have to attend work or school, which is of course why it's very handy to, of course, if you can gain more support and have more number of counselors, because that means it can be more accessible, and then probably have more time slots that can be available for the patients to actually come to. So lastly, a bit of a call of action. So people can, if they're interested and they want to support, they can just click here and they'll be directed to the website. So thank you for listening. I hope I keep it under 10 minutes, hopefully.
Just on time, but it's a pleasure to hear you. So I don't want to catch you up. It's amazing. Any questions?
I love how informative and detailed it is. And I realize now that I might have missed a lot when I looked at it myself. So thank you so much. I mean, this was amazing. Yeah, I don't think I have any other questions, just those comments for now.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
There's actually a question from Eva. Eva, do you want to open your microphone and then answer, ask your question? If you're Eva,
yeah, sure. I'm here. I have my toddler here, so let's keep my camera off for now. But thank you so much for your presentation. So my question was, how do you, or other presenters as well, can feel free to jump in, but how do you come to the decision to do further analyses on an area of the raw data when there is so much? I think for myself, especially as a beginner, like it can feel very overwhelming to just look at everything and then realize, oh, actually, like, for example, for you, you dive more into the different age groups. So yeah, what are some sorry.
Toddler crisis.
Yeah, so how did you decide to dig into some of the different areas? And then I also forgot to ask again, how long did you spend in your analysis and completing this project?
Oh, for the time duration, I'm not sure about the exact thing, but probably around 40 hours, because my data prep is still not strong. And yeah, I have to search for tutorials to look how to make the diverging stack bar chart. So yeah, because I'm not as experienced, so but that's what I like doing working on these projects, because it's always a good learning experience, and you push yourself to learn something new all the time. As for approaching analysis, I usually approach it you could say it in two different ways. So first, I usually like to break down and identify the problem first, like what's the main problem, and then look at the task overview also, like what actually is being required. So I already have some hypothesis questions in mind in that case, but I also like to do like just free roam exploration without really thinking about anything. And sometimes you get some interesting patterns and insights from there. Well, for survey question, I think it's, I always like survey data. So usually for survey data, I like to approach it, of course, per segments, like per each groups. So you want to identify it based on segments. I think this is because my marketing background actually helps. So I like to group it based on categories. So there's a general overview, but also like to break it down like a bit more specific. But I like to break it down per segment, which is a bit similar. So if you could see the A segment, it's I keep it like from 0 to 17 because they're usually the young population who is probably still a student, and then the other one is more like the working age population. So it's really nice to segment things on a similar behavior. I hope it answered your question.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much. And my apologies, everyone, for for the toddler tantrum.
Oh yeah, no worries with that.
Hello.
Hi.
Yes, I saw you
Hello.
raised your hand, Rustika. Yes.
Yeah, I did. I think all the presentations are really great. It makes me understand the work that we've been doing, because now the data makes more sense, because we had the data, but it didn't make this much sense. Thank you so much. It's great work.
Thank you. It's my pleasure as well.
Yeah, thank you for the feedback. We love that. Love to hear that. Let me jump back to the PowerPoint. All right, we have our 5th presentation of the 5. Priya is up next. She has 109 visits on her public profile on Tableau Public. And I also saw that one of her visits was for Michael Schumacher, who I consider to be the GOAT of Formula One racing. And so I wanted to give a shout out to Priya for having that excellent Michael Schumacher viz out there. I really enjoyed that. So Priya, if you will share your screen and take us through your visualization that you created. You are our 5th and final presenter of the day.
And Kevin, first time as well. Sorry to interrupt. Priya is our first timer as well. So congrats.
Thanks, Frederick. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, Frederick has a nice viz that he updates with the submissions, and it shows whether people are beginners or first time or whatnot, and links to theirs. You can always do searches and look for the hashtag viz for social good. But Frederick has a really nice viz that you can go to, and you can see the other submissions, and you can see what people have done, and lots of people make them downloadable, and you can learn from each other, and it's a really great time and a great way to learn. So Priya, please walk us through. Yours is a very lovely, beautiful visualization you have for us today.
Thanks a lot, Ken. First of all, thanks Viz for Social Good for giving me the platform. I'm grateful that I'm sharing this platform with beautiful, creative, and talented people like Nicole and Johanna. And yes, rest of the participants as well, because I really love the presentations. So I'm very sorry in advance if I am a little disappointed, because I prepared a very summarized version of the whole thing. I spent hours contemplating what to put and what not to put on the Viz, because there was too much of data. And I'll also beg your pardon in advance if I sound a little tired. And if you find any grammatical errors on my part or the sentence structure part, please I'm sorry for that in advance. So coming on to the Viz, see, I have a little bit of background here, because in my family, there's a person who is suffering from mental health issues for a very long time. I'm observing that lady for a very long time, and I know what it does to the people. So that kind of played a very important role in keeping the colors on my Viz to the minimal. If you have noticed, I have actually kept it only to the red and the green, highlighting the pain areas as well as the good points. So that played a very integral part in my Viz. The other thing that I have noticed is that if I have to approach to people like her, or if I have to approach to anybody in the civic body, if I need help to expand the whole thing, or if I have to approach the mental experts on the medical infrastructure side, how do I expect it in a very summarized manner, so that the key takeaway is taken care of, and the whole thing, it doesn't they don't get lost in all the data. I wanted a very static visual, which you can actually print and share it with people or give it out as handout. So coming on to the Viz, I started by giving a brief background about the mental health cases and what it does to the country. and how many cases are actually go undeterred and untreated, followed by what is the TEWWY organization all about, what do they do, and how do they function, that also I mentioned, and along with the introduction to the survey. Now, I divided the whole visual into two aspects, that is the depression and the stress, which is basically the survey that they did. Of course, when there's a survey involved, there are of course questions, and the question is, the questions that I involved on both these sides, if you have noticed that there are only certain things, that certain areas where I have given red color, where I actually wanted people to take notice, is that you can see it in the depression section, that there are 3 categories: nearly every day, more than half the day, and several days. The reason why I colored this part to bring the attention of the people was, see, this is the area, if you would delve further into the analysis, is where TEWWY plays a very important role. These are the cases where TEWWY will actually work with and actually handle those cases and share the workload of the people in the medical infrastructure, involved in the medical infrastructure. So the same thing, I did it with the stress. In fact, when I was going through the stress questionnaire, I said, oh, I do fall into this category. Oh, this is a question that I also, I will probably go from time to time, like, getting angry or getting frustrated if things are not going my way. And so these are the things even I found, oh, okay, I do, somewhere fall in this bracket. I skipped the scoring part, how the scoring happened. What I actually did was just show the scores and how they are categorized. Say, for in the depression section, I actually mentioned the from none to severe, what are the various categories, and if you have got a particular score, so where do you fall in, followed by the proposed treatment actions. There was a reason why I mentioned this here specifically in the depression case, that I will discuss it in later. Then I actually wanted to show the number of people that fall from mild to severe category. The reason why I wanted to show was this actually covers more than 50% of the sample population, which needed to be highlighted. And then I also did the further bifurcation, showing that, okay, how many do fall in the mild, how many do fall in the moderate, how many do fall in the moderately severe and severe. So if you notice, the mild and the moderate category are more, where actually TEWWY can handle a lot of cases. And coming from the background where I know how people with mental health issues work or deal or see the world as, I know that if you handle a lot of cases and moderate, actually contribute a lot of not flaring it up to the moderately severe category. You help a lot of people in actually restricting them to this mild and moderate. And the Gadmarly concept is too good. I actually picked it up on it very fast because of the joint families we normally belong to here in India, and we continue staying here. So the elders do play a very predominant role in our day-to-day lives, and their advisors are like, they are constant flow of advisors. You can't stop it. So they actually help a lot. So now coming back to the WIS, in the depression, in the stress factor also, I actually defined the scores out of 7 to 16, 75. The score range was from 0 to 69. And how many, I actually read somewhere that above 27 is what we need to cater to. So 67% of the people actually fall in that 60s, fall in that 77 and above percent above score, which really needs attention. Maybe the attentions may differ because of the mild to moderate, mild to severe cases that I will discuss later. So now coming on to the depression here again, moving on from the scores, this mild, moderate, and moderately severe, I further segregated into the age group. Now, when I'm further segregating into the age group, it gives me an idea where the major chunk lies and who would actually play a more important role. So from 21 to 40 is the major chunk that lies, and they are from mild category. So when they are in this particular category, I immediately know, okay, TEWWY will actually play a very important role. See, the whole concept was to highlight, my effort was to basically highlight the role of TEWWY, where TEWWY fits into the picture, and how can TEWWY contribute in sharing the workload and actually in helping a lot of cases in the mild moderate sector so that they do not flare up to the severe category. Okay, now coming on to the stress, I did it again, bifurcated it, further segregated it into the age group segments. So again, from 21 to 50, you can see the major category for major people falling into this bracket. Then I wanted to show the how much are they inclined for the therapy. So in the depression category, I found out that they are like 18% are saying yes to it, which is absolutely good, considering if you are to even accept that you are in that category and you need a little bit of help and you are agreeing to the counseling or the therapy or group counseling sessions is a big achievement. Then I further then I wanted to show, okay, from which age group to age group is more open. So this is like 21 to 30 is very much open in going for counseling, opting for counseling. For the stress section, I figured out that it is 38% who are more open for the counseling and group therapy, out of which I did the same thing. I figured out that it is from 21 to 30, which are more acceptable to go for the therapy. In the end, I wanted to show the total and overall impact that people can easily assess the success that TEWWY had up till now. So I showed the figures that I figured out that they have helped at least 1,414 people with interpersonal counseling, and they have referred people to the supervised sessions also. So this actually brings down to the end of my presentation, but in the end, I just like to add one thing. TEWWY, you are doing a very, very brilliant work. I am actually impressed, and I would pray and I wish that you not only grow in Tanzania, but you grow in the rest of the world as well. I wish and I hope other governments also adopt this method, adopt this concept and adopt this idea, because there are third of mental health issue cases that really need this kind of help. That's it. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Well, thank you so much, Priya. Just a wonderful visualization, great impact that you're showing, and great words of advice. I've got to ask you the same that I've done now for all 5. Can you give us any kind of estimate of how long you spent on this project? Really lots of analysis, and I'm sure you did a lot more work than even what made it into the final product, as we probably have with all 5 of you.
I spend hours and hours in contemplating, but like Komal said, that there is no number that I can put to it. But every day, handling work, handling home, and then what I did was put majority of my time in thinking. Getting it on the dashboard was peanuts, so it didn't take much time. But how to put, what to put, because there's too much of information. And I was also getting lost in the whole lot of information given out. In fact, I mentioned it in the tweet that this is one of the difficult projects that I have come across. And I don't know how do I, I just wanted to still make an attempt. So I was actually getting lost in municipality and gender. And then I said, okay, no, I do not want to show municipality. Why? Because TEWWY will go beyond those 5 municipalities. People are interested in the numbers, maybe, and that's what my thinking is, that rather than showing the municipality and gender, I saw there's not stark difference between the male and the female numbers. So might as well, not cover it at all. I wanted a simple short whiz which can be printed and posted. So my majority of the time went in contemplation, thinking what to put, what not to put, how to put, rather than in the execution. So Saturday, Sundays was the only time I could have done something.
There's actually a great question. Sorry, Dimitri. I don't know if you can put you on the spot. It's a good segue. You got similar question. Did you mind to ask your question again for the audience? If you got a microphone working. You hear Dimitri? So I don't know if Dimitri can hear us. So Dimitri was asking the audience, or presenters, what trick do you use for cross-checking data? Because he says sometimes he's losing focus, there's too much data. So I think Priya, you just touched on that, but well, I wonder if the other presenters have similar kind of tricks. What tool do you use to data cross-check? Yeah, you go.
Okay. data cross check is basically I actually had access to the Excel sheets. I could connect with anybody on Slack. I tried doing it, but I couldn't do that. I don't know. That attempt failed for me every time I tried connecting. So whatever the data that was given to me on the Excel sheet is what I actually used. So and there is nothing here that I have used which was not given to me. No. So to answer your question, no, I did not cross-check any data from outside of what was given to me. I did a lot of analysis on the basis of the data that was given to me. Creating, you are calculating the percentages, you're calculating the amount of people who are falling in this particular bracket or that particular bracket is what I did. No, I did not do any cross check. Might be Nicole would be a better person to answer because she went way above and beyond that, the survey data. So I would rather prefer her answering this question. She would give you a better answer.
An answer. Nicole, do you want to expand your answer in the chat?
Yeah. So in terms of like checking the data, like that my calculations are correct and everything, I do either just a lot of crosstabs in Tableau that are very basic. Like I make sure there's no calculations or anything, and then I'll, do my own percentages like on a calculator, or I'll pull it into Excel and do crosstabs. So that's how I make sure like my calculations and such are correct. But then yeah, in terms of just making sure, it's not that I make sure that the data is accurate, but I look on Google Scholar a lot just to see if the trend is similar to what other research has shown or different. And if it's different, just explain why. Like, not that it's wrong, but just kind of explain why that could be that it's showing differently in one place than maybe research has shown.
All right, very interesting. Did Rustika or Nima, do you have any comments or questions for Priya or any of our 5 presenters? Anyone else? Priya, you can go ahead and stop sharing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And great job, Priya, for the first one. You did amazing.
Very good. Excellent. Excellent work by all. And again, I was noting in the chat, we had 5 female presenters, 5 very strong female presenters, which just underscores or reiterates that the model used in this project.
Really great. I love your loves it.
So always glad to see that. So I guess this is the point where we turn it over to Nima and say, do you have any overall feedback or any selection of winners, if you will, out of the 5 presentations that we had today?
And no pressure, Nima.
And again, there's a lot of work that goes into this behind the scenes. I just show up at
Sorry,
the end.
I'm gonna try to come.
There you are.
Okay. Everything was just every presentation. All the presentations were amazing, like really, really, really amazing. We loved every presenter, all the work that you wonderful women. And I know that came up in the chat somewhere that it was all women. I promise it wasn't intentional. It just worked out that way, which works too. Out of the 5, give me just 1 minute, please.
If it's too hard, you don't need to.
Yeah.
Where there's no winners and losers, there's no prizes and competition. We're always like having one top one, but if it's too hard for you, just don't worry too much. We don't want to stress you out.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
Oh, maybe my team members have something to add, but I can see how we are going to use all of these presentations in our upcoming campaign, fundraising campaign that starts tomorrow. So like the timing of this and everything, how everything worked out has just been amazing. And I'm gonna go with all 5.
Very good. We could do that as well. We in many
Likewise.
sports to give out multiple bronze medals, and lots of times there are ties and get the exact scores and whatnot. No problem at all to say we have 5 winners across the board today, because they all came at it from a little bit different aspect, and all had things to add to the overall. And also in the chat, my colleague Frederick has posted the link where you can see all of the submissions, because again, there were many other really good submissions. And so I know you had a tough time whittling it down to the 5 that you have here that are all 5 outstanding. So really appreciate everybody's involvement. And like I say, I get to come in here at the end and just have fun and MC the thing and whatnot. Lots of work behind the scenes and lots of things that happened. And again, we've got the Slack channel, and I know folks were asking questions and you were answering questions all throughout the duration of the project. And again, that makes for a much better project when we have such a good charity to work with, who is so responsive. And as many of the presenters said, when we have a charity that we all kind of firmly believe in and want to see it get further, I think we all do a better job as well. So you could tell that all 5 of these presenters really endorse what you're doing and went the extra step and the extra mile in their analysis to show how much they appreciate and want to highlight all the good work that you're doing. So I can't thank you enough for participating in the project with us, providing your data and working with us all the way through.
Can I also say
Yeah,
something
go
to what
ahead.
Monique said? Yeah, she said we're going to use this for fundraising campaign, which is coming very soon. But for us also, it's very important that this is going to be something that we're going to present to the government, because in Tanzania, we don't talk much about mental health. And with this data visualization, I mean, if people can see and see the magnitude of the problem in the country, then I think they're going to be very serious and start having the political commitment to deal with the problem. Because otherwise, as we see it, we find so many suicides happening almost every day. And I feel that nothing much is being done. But your work, thank you so much. If we use the data visualization that you've just given to us, all the presenters, we say, thank you very much. It will make us be more, you go to the policymakers with your chest in, I mean, you're very, with the confidence, because you are not presenting just thing, but you present really data that is being, So thank you so much to all the presenters. It's not easy for us to say that one or that one was the best. For us, all the 5 have done a great job. And we say thank you so much for your, for doing this kind of work for us.
That's a pleasure. Oh, maybe a quick one, Rustica and I. If you want to get in touch with the volunteers, reach out. So the journey doesn't stop here. So obviously we're wrapping up the presentation, but following on that, if you want more information from the volunteers about what they've done, if some of the volunteers might be willing to help further than the project as well, do a bit more work after as a volunteer, who knows? So just don't hesitate to reach out, and then we can put you in touch with the volunteers if volunteers are keen to work with you guys on a regular basis. I don't know. Don't hesitate to reach out to us.
Thank you so much. We will. I'm sure we will.
And also, I always throw in, hey, if a year from now or down the road, when you have collected more data and you want to revisit it and see what we can do for a follow-on, we have done follow-on projects as well. So yeah, definitely please stay in touch. And I know our volunteers would answer any questions that you might have down the road as you're going through and using their analysis for your purposes. Yeah, definitely.
Actually, thank you so much for sharing that, because I was wondering the same thing. And I didn't know if you took on projects or worked with organizations that you worked with previously. I imagine that you have a high demand of organizations that could definitely benefit from your services. So the fact that we can come back to you and ask for more help we're beyond grateful.
Yeah, your last words are very energizing. Thank you so much. Really, thank you so much, because I was wondering also, is it possible to go back to this, if we do more work, can we go back to them? And what you've just said has really energized us. Thank you so much.
We can also even provide screenshots or PowerPoint slides. So from all the dashboard you've seen, volunteers can export them as PowerPoint. So if you're interested to do that, we can ask the volunteers to export their TEWWY work as PowerPoint or screenshots or images. So that could be even more useful for you guys to present.
Yeah, and I'm also a college professor, and I have my students do this as well. So if you wanted to do some follow-ups with some real beginners learning and give them a task, maybe something you want to see a little bit more in depth, contact me and I'll put some students on the project for you. And we'll continue to try and help. I mean, that's what our organization is all about. And these sessions are just so much fun for me. I just thoroughly enjoy them when I'm able to participate. And here comes one of our favorite and fun parts, right, Frederick? Can everybody turn your camera on if you can? Anyone who can turn your camera on, we love to see everybody and say hi to everybody. And snap a picture here if we can of as many folks on camera saying hi, participating with us. We really appreciate our volunteers. We really appreciate folks who come and watch the presentations and ask questions and get involved in future ones. So if everybody can just wave or smile, say hi, put the V for Chloe, whatever you want to do. We really appreciate each and every one of you. And I've got a quick snapshot there, and we can also grab some from the recording when we get it posted, which remind me, I'm the one who recorded it, so I've got to stop the recording here at some point, right? I'm on the queue for that one. But
follow-up questions, sorry to interrupt, Kevin. Is there any follow-up questions from the audience, from beginners, maybe? Any closing follow-ups? No more questions?
No.
So now you can use Slack as well. You got access to Slack. So if you have more questions, as I said, if you want to get in touch with some volunteers, use Slack, and then we can be in touch.
No. So again, we did have this slide to be announced. Do you have a time frame for us, Frederick, when we'll be announcing the next project?
No, project do take time. Like Nay contacted us maybe October, November last year. So I think it's a long journey. So hoping to have a project in May, June. The best way is I'm going to post the link on the chat. Make sure you sign up as a volunteer. So when we get a project up and running, you get notified, you get an email from us. Where we also give you access to Slack, where you can join our Slack channel. But roughly around May, June, we'll have a new project, probably with an organization called Bridge to Prosperity, which is a repeat project involved in building bridges in Africa. So to be confirmed, not 100% sure, but I think it's very likely. So I just want to quickly say thanks, Nay. I mean, it's been great talking to you back and forth, talking about the data and then the questions. I think there was an amazing experience. Thanks for the volunteers as well. That was an amazing project.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Well, again, thank you so much, everybody, coming today. I will go ahead and